Great. Okay, welcome everybody to the regular meeting of the Lakeport City Council this Tuesday, May 5th. First off, roll call.
Yes, Councilmember Costa,
Here.
Councilmember Parlett is absent at the moment. Councilmember Price,
Here.
Pro Tem Matina,
Here.
and Mayor Disney.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, just for the record, Councilmember Parlett's umpiring a game, a playoff game somewhere in there. He's going to try and be here somewhere before 6:30, so he should be coming in.
Great, thank you. Now, before we get started tonight, I do have a brief moment of silence, if we could all acknowledge that. Many of you know Brian Sumter. He's been contributing to the Lake County Record B as a sports editor. His son just lost a 12-year battle with cancer. Brian, of course, very involved in the community. His son, Josh, loved coming up to Lakeport and Lake County regularly. And if we would all just take a moment and observe this. Thank you. Okay, before we continue, we are going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody wouldn't mind standing up and joining me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next up is Kelly, do we have any urgency items?
We don't have any urgency items, just a change.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if we can look into remove item D from the consent agenda, the Movies by the Lake, Kiwanis concessions application. There's some clarifications and changes that need to be done in regards to insurance and some of the other partners on there. So we'll get that. There's time before that event, so we'll make sure to get it up on a upcoming agenda.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. With that, I'll take a motion to accept the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept the agenda with the one change.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So next up is the consent agenda. The following consent items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They'll be acted upon by the council at one time without any discussion. Any council member may pull an item to be removed and have further discussion, under the regular agenda. First up, ordinances. Waive reading except by title of any ordinances under consideration at this meeting for either introduction or passage per Government Code Section 36934. Item B, approve the minutes of the City Council regular meeting of April 21st, 2026. Item C, approve application 2026-20 with staff recommendations for the Red, White, and Blues event. Item D, we are moving to a future meeting. Item E, approve application 2026-022 with staff recommendations for the 2026 Juneteenth celebration. Item F, approve application G 2026-012 with staff recommendations for the Upper Lake High School Performance Band Show in the Library Park Gazebo. Would any council members like to pull any of these items? No? Anybody from the public wish to comment on anything on consent? If so, come on up. Not seeing anybody in the room. Victor, do we have anybody online with their hand raised?
I'm seeing no hands raised, Mr. Mayor.
Perfect. Then we'll bring it back to council for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the item D removed.
Second.
Perfect. Motion and some seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is the public input portion. Anybody in the room can come up and speak about any subject within the authority of the City Council, provided it's not already on tonight's agenda. If it is on tonight's agenda, we'll wait till that time to speak. The council can't take any action or express a consensus of approval or disapproval on any public comments regarding matters which do not appear already on the agenda. So with that in mind, would anybody in the room like to come up and speak as part of public input? Not seeing anyone. You can come on up. Uh-huh. Come on up. Start with your name, please.
My name is Jennifer Martin. I live here in Lakeport. And I've been thinking about this for some time. I believe that the city of Lakeport and its residents, that we need a way to get from Martin Street over to Lakeport Boulevard. That's not what Bevins,
Mhm.
because that hill is really hard to navigate, and you've got senior housing, disabled housing, you've got senior trailer park, you've got all the new apartment complexes they made. And they need to get a way to get over to the shopping center so that they could utilize their services. And also, I think, and maybe it would give the senior center maybe a little bit more, participation maybe. And I know that the city of Lakeport or whatever owns a lot right in that area. What about putting like a lighted walkway that cuts like maybe at the bottom of the hill or right by the tribal offices or the tribal health department, and maybe a way to get up to tribal health? And then, they can get over, people could utilize that to get over to the shopping services and whatnot. Yeah, because I've seen people like try to navigate that hill shopping, old people, frail
Oh, yeah.
people in wheelchairs, and it's really hard,
Oh, yeah.
with a daughter in a wheelchair. It's like, and there's no sidewalk. That
Mhm.
is the whole length of the road over there. So I just think that would be a good idea to think about. So that's all.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your comment. And Jennifer, just to be aware, I know that Public Works and a couple of the staff from the city, we want to look into possibly doing a pedestrian path from Martin that will connect over by the senior center. It's something that we have talked about, so you are heard, you're seen, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come up here.
And I'd encourage you to stay to the
The
transportation, the traffic safety update item as well. I know it's not listed on the agenda, this specific topic, but it is germane to that discussion.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. Anybody else in the room want to come up and speak on public comment here? Not seeing anybody jumping up. What about online, Victor?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay. Then we will close public input. Next up, item B is new employee introduction. Introduce new utilities department employee, Trina Kolash.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, it's my pleasure to introduce the newest member of our team, Trina Kolash. Trina joins us in the capacity of administrative analyst for the utilities department. Her primary functions include administering our asset management program, EAM, formerly known as Cartograph. She will also be assisting with I&I mitigation, various compliance tasks, and developing efficiency models for various components of utility operations. While not a native, Trina relocated to Lake County at a young age and has long considered it home. She is married with 2 children and has recently returned to Lakeport, where she is embracing rural community life. She brings an amazing amount of energy to the table, and I look forward to working with her on the numerous projects ahead. Please give her a nice warm welcome.
I'll note for the record too, that we had her first
right?
in admin and then Paul stole
Stole
her.
her.
And so, but no, we're very happy to be able to
Welcome.
keep Trina on.
Welcome,
aboard,
Trina.
Trina. Really happy to have you. Well, that's great. Next up, we'll move on to a presentation of the 2026 PEG Annual Report. Supervisor?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. For those of you who have been in office for a long time, you used to get Ed Roby. I do not live up to Ed Roby, but here I am to present to you for PEG, what we've done in the past year and where we plan on going. We'll try to be brief, but I'm happy for questions and further conversation. If we can go to the next slide, please.
I like the logo. Is that new?
So I just found out accidentally that we had a new logo, so I decided to add it in there.
Oh,
Our
really?
station manager and I talk all the time. I guess we just haven't talked about logos, but yes, it is updated.
Yeah.
And I have some ideas in the future, but we're gonna stick with this one.
It's not good enough for Bruno.
Always thinking of something new.
Something.
So our board has changed, as you know, when there's elections matter. We get different folks appointed. We have Christina Price here, council member, who is helping out for the representation of Lakeport. Mary Wilson is also new to the council or to the board with Clear Lake. I still represent the county of Lake. And then we have Kevin Mack from LCOE. And also we just added Tom Lasik as our public member at large. So we are full. We had a vacancy in the past. It is great to have a full board. Our station manager continues to be Thomas DeWalt. He has been there for, goodness, 5-6 years now. And he is an amazing person to be there, especially, I'll just be blunt, for the amount of stipends that he receives, for the amount of work he does. Not many people would appreciate it and accept that. And so we appreciate him. And then we have a new chief editor, Cheyenne Blue, who also helps out with other things that Thomas needs. So in our 25-26 operation budget, we had revenues that increased by about $25,000 this year. And so we're about $57,000 in total revenues. We have our usual funding that we receive from the city of Clear Lake, from you guys. I just sent an invoice about 5 minutes ago. The presentation is part of my money-making scheme. It's supposed to be an annual presentation, and then I receive checks. So this is really important to us. And then the county of Lake provides $15,000, and that's just a base amount. So we get $27,000 just from our agreement that we have with all 3 jurisdictions. The rest is with all the contracting that we've been getting accomplished with Chamber of Commerce, Farm Bureau, the county of Lake, and others who are wanting to hire our videography services. And so our contract services are about $30,000 in this past year, and that's been increasing a whole lot in the past 2 years since we've started. So this is great news, and we hope to continue growing that. In fact, we will, because we kind of need to give Thomas a raise. He's been at the same level for a while. That should say our capital budget for 25-26. I apologize that says operating budget. Basically, we get a 1% pass through. All MediaCom services, 1% of your bills. Whoever still has MediaCom, we receive 1%. It gets passed through both cities and the county, and we get approximately 45,000. It's really hard for me to tell. I'm working right now with all jurisdictions to make sure that we are receiving the 1%. I am currently the chair, but I've never been in a board where I do so much. I do the invoices, I do the contracts, I do the finances. I don't know why I said yes, but I do enjoy it. It's a different type of board, but we are trying to figure out if we've received all of the 1% pass-throughs. I know we're working with Mr. Ingram to make sure that gets accomplished, and we review that. But it should be around 45,000. And what we can use that for is for our capital budget for any equipment that we want to purchase. And then the operational budget is specifically for paying our staff for the work that they do. I'm going to move on because that's not correct. There's the pass through, the 40,000. We did spend about 72,000. You may want to know the reason that so we have about $270,000 in our capital budget. We have about $80,000 in our operational budget. We're doing really, really well financially. I still need the 1% though. But the 72,000 is way above the 40 because we've put together an agreement with Soper Reese. We want to update their theater so that we have state-of-the-art camera equipment. So anybody who rents and utilizes the theater can then utilize our services, get a video, maybe stream it live as it's happening, just get a recording of the event that happens there. And we want to make sure that there's state-of-the-art equipment so that we can get the most out of what happens in that theater. It's an amazing theater, and we can help provide that upgrade. We've also tried working with others such as KPFZ, and we hope to go back. It would be nice if they could do a radio show / podcast at the exact same time. Podcast is really the way to go in this day and age. So some of the current activities that we're doing, we're supporting local events. As I mentioned, we get hired a lot for some of the videography work. We're supporting our local MACs, the municipal advisory councils that the Board of Supervisors has. I think we're up to 6 now. Providing more videography services. We're also continuing to work with schools. We've been trying really hard to get and break through and get into the schools. This year's the year. And so we've already had one student team doing interviews. They're choosing their own topics. We want to do like a public service announcement of sorts. Like, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to let the public learn about? And from your perspective, the one that is starting now is on substance use. Another one wants to do a story on the Lower Lake Jail, and we're letting them choose what it is that they want to do. Eventually, if it's something related to the city council here in Lakeport, we want to show you the video and bring it to the city council, bring the students with us. Eventually, we also want to accumulate all those videos, do some kind of video competition, and have a scholarship award that goes along with that, just so they can benefit, maybe buy their own equipment or use that in order to go to college, whatever their purpose may be.
Very cool.
Again, spoke of upgrading Soparis, and our website is Lake Peg TV, which we also need to revamp and upgrade. Future activities, we always want to increase our revenues. So far, so good. Let's keep it going. We want to increase our viewership, which we're seeing in our online account. Not easy to find out what's going on our channel, TV8. We really, and I know Mr. Ingram told me I would get this comment. We really want to get you guys on board as far as getting PEG here installed. We've tried a while back. It failed. We got video. We couldn't get audio. We have now tasked your Councilmember Price, to take the lead on this. We feel she's probably the best person with the correct connections in order to make it happen. We've provided her all of the email contacts for MediaCom. We're here to support her as well, and maybe Victor might be able to help us. I don't know. But overall, we need to get you guys connected so that, just like the city of Clear Lake and the county, you can stream live, or at the very least, we can get your recordings right off the bat and be able to put that on our YouTube channel and make sure that we spread the message. We also want to continue to pursue further partnerships. I'll speak of it a little bit later. I believe it's in there. But we also want to start accessing grants. We've been relying on you guys and our contracts, but we all can get grants, and we just haven't made the time and the effort. Our folks, our station manager, doesn't have a whole lot of time to be able to do all those things, but we think we have the capacity now to be able to start doing so. So one of the things that wasn't on there was we've also worked with the Circle of Native Minds. We have done 21 elder interviews to try and retain their stories. This has been talked about between different groups for quite some time. Unfortunately, we've lost some of those elders, and their stories have gone away. They were not able to be recorded. So we've been able to get 21 stories. Thomas has done an amazing job with his assistant, Cheyenne, and we hope to get our 22nd, the final one, soon, maybe later this week or next week. But those are things that we look forward to showcasing for the public. We get their permission to record. We get their permission to put out to the public. We want to make sure that we put it out there appropriately and that they approve of the editing that we've done. So I think PEG has done a good job of trying to make some progress in the last 2 years. I think we're showing that we're making progress. We need to get you guys online. Councilmember Price, we're going to get that done this year, or else maybe the $2,000 will not be coming into our pocket. But we are excited about what PEG is doing, and we feel we're fulfilling our purpose for the community, and want to keep going. That's it for my presentation.
Nice job.
Yeah, thank you, Bruno. Any questions or comments here from the council?
Just a comment. PEG has been a very exciting board to be a part of. I think that the vision that we have is really coming together into fruition. And I know Thomas is out there. I believe he met with Middletown Unified on Monday. So I'll circle back with him. But the ripple effect is real. We're getting out there, and we're going to make a little impact and start that way. But my first goal is to,
One step at a time.
That's right. Thank you.
Well, my comment is I always look forward to your annual update, so thank you so much for that. And that's all great stuff. I love the very good management, how you have managed to increase the revenue and really keep that vision moving forward. So it's exciting to see.
It's a board like no other. We have fun.
Good.
One quick question I have. I didn't see the update. Last year you brought up the podcast studio at Kingdom Games. How's that going?
So that is fully installed.
Oh, good.
There might be some kinks to still iron out with Brandon, but that all the equipment is installed. We're waiting for him to really open it up for the public to be able to access it. We have 2 hours a month that we can access for free. We're trying to figure out how we want to utilize that best for PEG. I know, for example, Thomas does a news show on KPFZ on Wednesdays. Is it possible to do both simultaneously and maybe phone in from the podcast room into KPFZ so that it's going on the radio, but also being recorded in the podcast room. We're looking at possibly sharing some of that time with the county. The county is very interested in a podcast room, and maybe we'll be purchasing that equipment and installing it in a library or somewhere else.
Cool.
But we're excited about the expansions that we've made, and we have the capital to make it happen.
Yeah, great. I mean, when you brought it up last year, I thought it was such a cool idea. And then you brought it up in the presentation tonight that radio versus podcasts are kind of the future of radio. So I thought that was really cool.
And most people don't even know what the most famous podcasts are, but there's millions of people listening to things that if you're stuck on the radio, you just don't know about.
Yeah.
True.
If you don't mind, I'd like to bring it out to the public, see if there's any questions of PEG TV. I saw a hand. Jennifer, if you want to come up. It's got to be in the mic for the people online or else they won't hear you.
I was just wondering if there was any PEG TV, if there was any thoughts about maybe going like commercial, like creating commercials saying, come to Lakeport, come to Lake County, that we could put outside of Lake County.
So there is no issues with us working with like the TID and trying to provide that videography work and making that kind of publicity. We can't do commercials in the sense of, I hate to say a commercial, but like a private purchase. It's kind of like KPFZ where you can have an underwriter, but you can't have a commercial. We are supposed to be a public broadcasting, so we have very strict rules on how it is that we can commercialize what we're doing. But we're happy to work with the TID. They could pay for our services to make the commercial. Once the commercial is in their hands, they can use it as they wish. And we do have, if we had all the time in the world, I am set up so that if we have the time, we can start making a commercial for our Lake Transit Authority. That was our thought of our first like nonprofit, government, local agency commercial, because there's a lot of nonprofits we could work with, because that's allowed within the code that we have to follow.
Thank you, Bruno. Anything else from the public? What about online? I know it's not in a item we have a motion on, but I'd still like to see if there's any questions.
I'm seeing no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to thank Bruno for all the time and energy because PEG was kind of nothing was happening and you've made a lot of progress. So thank you for your volunteerism.
Thank you very much. It's been fun.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Bruno. All right, next up on the agenda for tonight, we have a few proclamations. The first one is designating the week of May 2nd through the 9th as Osteogenesis Imperfecta Awareness Week. So I'll read the proclamation unless anyone wants to come up.
Bye, Bruno.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Bruno. Okay, so a proclamation designating the week of May 2nd through the 9th, 2026 as National Osteogenesis Imperfecta, OI, Awareness Week in the city of Lakeport. Whereas osteogenesis imperfecta, also known as brittle bone disease, is a rare genetic disorder characterized by bones that break easily, often from little or no apparent cause, affecting individuals of all ages and backgrounds. And whereas those living with OI face not only physical challenges, including frequent fractures, surgical procedures, and mobility hurdles, but also demonstrate extraordinary resilience, strength, and determination in navigating their daily lives. And whereas it is estimated that approximately 25,000 to 50,000 people in the United States have OI, and with good medical treatment and supportive care, the majority of people will lead healthy, productive lives with an average lifespan. And whereas Lakeport is a community that prides itself on inclusivity and support for all its residents, recognizing that the health and well-being of one neighbor impacts the strength of the whole. And whereas increased funding is needed for education and research to help find more effective treatments, And whereas the first week of May is designated as National OI Awareness Week, providing a vital opportunity for our small community to learn about the challenges faced by those with rare disorders and to celebrate their contribution to our town. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Lakeport does hereby designate May 2nd through 9th, 2026 as National Osteogenesis Imperfecta Awareness Week in the City of Lakeport and encourage all citizens to wear yellow, share knowledge, and support our neighbors living with OI. That's okay. You guys don't, I just want to make sure to give this to you. If you want to come up, we would love it.
Awesome.
Do you want to say anything? But if you want to.
Say something.
She's putting you on the spot, not me.
It's a friendly crowd, nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're totally friendly. You're very brave for doing it and bringing this to our attention.
Okay. Um, I just want to say thank you. This is our second time doing this. I think we did it in 2024, I believe. And ever since then, I've gotten so many opportunities and a lot of other things have happened that have been good. And I also want to mention that this year in July, I was awarded the grant, the Osteogenesis Imperfecta grant, to be able to go to the OI conference in Florida at the end of July. And it's really special because I've only gone to this conference, I think, 3 times, maybe twice. And it's both times have been amazing. And I've learned so many things and have seen so many people like me. And so it's very, what's the word? It's very enlightening to see and to hear the stories. And I'm just going to quickly say, I'm sorry if it sounds, I don't know, but the conference has an event before, or the first day, sorry, the first day of the conference called the Walk and Wheel event. And all participants in it raise money for osteogenesis imperfecta, for education materials, for research, for all of that. And I am planning on raising $2,000 to be able to do this. And um, if you would like to donate, that would be very helpful. Um, it's, it is on the Give Butter website. If you search up my my sorry, my team name. I'm so sorry. My team name, Grit and Gears. You can donate however little, however much you want. It would be really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. You did great.
You did fantastic. Fantastic.
Brandon, you do a good job. Didn't pick it up.
Sorry about the back of my phone.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Yeah, one more.
You didn't see it.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much.
So. Okay, thank you. Next up, we have another proclamation designating May 11th through 16th, 2026 as National Police Week in the city of Lakeport. Looking at you. Okay. So a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Lakeport to recognize National Police Week 2026 and to honor the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Lakeport Police Department. And whereas since their first recorded death in 1786, more than 24,500 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty. Whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 363 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 111 officers killed in 2025 and 252 officers killed in previous years. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 38th Annual Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2026. And whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of National Police Week, which will be observed this year, May 11th through 16th, and whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Lakeport does hereby designate May 11th through the 16th, 2026, as National Police Week in the City of Lakeport and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. You have anything to add? Yeah, okay, come on down, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mine is going to kind of mirror what you said a little bit, so bear with me a little bit. Council members and community members, I want to take a moment tonight to recognize National Police Week, which also begins the Peace Memorials Officer Days on the 15th itself. National Police Week is a time set aside across the country to honor law enforcement officers who were killed or disabled in the line of duty. It is a reminder of the risks that come with this profession and the job asked of those who serve, and at times what it takes. It is also a time to recognize the survivors, the families, friends, coworkers, and agencies who continue forward after those losses. For many law enforcement, the names remembered during this week are not just names on a memorial. They may be people we knew, worked with, trained with, or served alongside. Remembering them is part of the responsibility we carry as a profession and the community. Here in Lake County, the Sheriff's Office will be hosting their First Responders Memorial Ceremony on May 15th in Museum Park. The ceremony will honor local members of law enforcement and the fire service partners who gave their lives while serving in Lake County. I would encourage members of the community to attend if they are able. Events like this provide an opportunity for first responders, families, local leaders, and the public to come together in remembrance of the respect. They also help ensure that the sacrifice made by those who serve before us remain part of our shared history and are not forgotten. As we move into National Police Week, it is appropriate that we pause to remember the fallen, support the survivors who continue to carry that loss, and recognize the men and women who continue to serve communities every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan, what time is the memorial on the 15th? Is it 5:30? And it's at the fall Museum Park there with the fallen officers memorial.
Okay, thank you. We have one more proclamation tonight, and it is designating May 3rd through the 9th as National Small Business Week in the city of Lakeport. I see a lot of representatives from the Chamber of Commerce. Do you guys want to come up? Thank you. Okay, so a proclamation. This is what you guys are here for, right?
No.
The hesitation. That's right. The hesitation to come up, I went, oh no, is there something else on the agenda tonight? Okay, proclamation designating the week of May 3rd through 9th as Small Business Week in the city of Lakeport. Whereas America's progress has been driven by pioneers who think big, take risks, and work hard. And whereas from the storefront shops that anchor our downtown areas to the high-tech startups that keep America on the cutting edge, small businesses are the backbone of our economy and the cornerstone of our nation's promise. And whereas small business owners and downtown businesses have energy and a passion for what they do, when we support small businesses, jobs are created and the local communities preserve their unique culture. And whereas because this country's 36 million small businesses create nearly 2 out of 3 new jobs in our economy, we cannot resolve to create jobs and spur economic growth without discussing ways to support entrepreneurs. And whereas the President of the United States has proclaimed National Small Business Week every year since 1963 to highlight the programs and services available to entrepreneurs through the U.S. Small Business Administration and other agencies. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Lakeport does hereby designate the week of May 3rd through 9th as National Small Business Week in the City of Lakeport, and encourages all residents to support our local small businesses. Come on up, Don. Anything to add?
I just want to add, Mayor Disney, get this right. Here we go. Don Smith, I'm the fortunate president of the Lake County Chamber of Commerce representing Adventist Health. And that is because as a healthcare organization, we believe in vibrancy of economy. It impacts the well-being of the community. And I get to serve on a board of directors that is phenomenal. Just recently, in our joint meeting with the EDC and the board of directors of the Lake County Chamber of Commerce, we were thrilled, we were riveted, we laughed, we cried at a presentation by City Manager Ingram and City Manager Flora on taxes and how they work. And so it is with that understanding that the backbone, when they say it is truly the backbone of a community small business. So thank you for acknowledging that, and thank you for the support. As a way of support, rather, and beyond this, businesses in our community, we want to invite you to the public, to the business to business mixer at Skylark Shores. It's a ribbon cutting this Monday, May 11 at 5:30. Businesses will have the opportunity to network with local businesses and access regional support services. Interested people can pick up a flyer in the back of the room. We continue to push forward as a chamber, advocating for small business. So thank you for this proclamation.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Go far. Here for the picture.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, you guys. Stair climb tonight.
Should have just stayed down there.
Oh, God, that's right. Okay.
Mayor Disney, can I make a little bit of a belated comment to we're still in the proclamation zone. I just wanted to speak to the police officers week. In that, in addition to everything that we know that we appreciate about what our peace officers do for us, what our police do for us, you're all doing this, taking on these risks at a time when our society is a little mixed message at best about how we appreciate, respect, honor, and support our law enforcement officers. And it just amazes me day after day that people continue to get up, say yes, and because of their integrity and commitment and what they hold, what they honor and really value, you get out, all you being the representative of our law enforcement agencies, you take that on every day. And it's like no small thing. It's not like you're going to do some safe job, something else in the community. You're going out every day to take on that risk because it's something you believe in, it's something we need, and you do that in a context where not everybody in society is giving you the props that you deserve. So we just want to tell you tonight how much we appreciate that, and it means an awful lot that you all serve us in that way. So thank you.
Thank you, Mom. The kids have gotten me a little sick, so it's always up and down and then roller coaster of
Yeah.
Well, thank you for saying that, Councilmember Costa. I appreciate that, and I'm sure everybody else that wakes up and puts the badge on in any law enforcement or firefighting career or any first responder, I should say, would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, next up is a presentation.
Just you.
By me. So I'm gonna come down. I do have the vice chair of the board. Dirk is here. Clear Lake. You can stay back there and support, but if you want to add anything, come on up.
Don too.
And Don, another board member.
I stayed just for this, Brandon.
And Kim here as well. Okay, so thank you everyone for having me tonight. This is the presentation from the Lake County Recreation Agency. This is the first time presenting. I have the City of Lakeport tonight. Next week is the Board of Supervisors, and the following week, the City of Clear Lake. And first time updating all those jurisdictions on what we've been up to.
Excellent. And it's very nice logo.
Oh, thank you.
I think you're winning. Yeah.
Got to start with a good logo. So what is Lake Rec? We are a regional partnership that came together. It's a collaboration between the Lake County, the County of Lakeport, and Clear Lake. We focus on regional scale recreation planning and investment. So what that means is what we've really been doing the last few years is bringing more light from the jurisdictions on recreation. It's something near and dear to my heart. And Lars Ewing at the county joked when this agency first formed that the county has a Parks and Rec department, but really it's Parks and Clogs. Because all they had for recreation was a clogging class in Middletown. And now the county has put on camps for kids. They had the run up to the top of Mount Canocti. And I don't want to directly attribute it to this group, but
We'll take credit.
We'll take credit for it. So this again is kind of why Lake Rec was created. Like I said, before this, there was not a whole lot of recreation in Lake County, at least organized recreation. Anybody can go to the trail and go out on the lake. We had some definite gaps. We have multi-year planning effort, and through some polling, we found that 87% of voters support more recreation funding, and there's definitely a need for regional coordination. So This is part of what brought this group together. In 2021, we had the first phase of a feasibility study done. This was just all done at the staff level. Staff from Lakeport, Clear Lake, and the county came together and said, look, we could really use a pool and a rec center. What they decided, or what kind of made the most sense, was looking into a pool in Lakeport, bringing that back since the West Shore pool had closed, and also a recreation center in Clear Lake. And that would kind of have equitable access to recreation on both sides of the lake. So 2021, they had phase one feasibility study completed. 2022, we had a phase two completed, a little more in-depth. And then in 2023, at the staff level, they said, look, we really need to bring in some elected officials here. Let's form what makes the most sense, which was a joint powers authority, a JPA. So with that JPA structure, the way it works, there's a 7-member board. It's 2 per jurisdiction. Myself, I'm serving as chair and from the city of Lakeport. Councilmember Costa's on the board as well. We have Dirk Sluden here at the back. He is the vice chair and representing Clear Lake, as well as Councilmember Downey. Supervisor Pyska, Supervisor Owen, and Don Smith is our member at large. So all of us bring that synergy I was talking about to recreation. We did go through a pretty lengthy process to come up with our purpose and our vision. And I'm not going to read it word for word, but really we want to transform the health metrics in Lake County. We want to have recreation opportunities for youth and adults alike. And we have a plan on how to accomplish that. What we did is we came up with a handful of objectives. The first one up there is expand regional recreational programming access. Like I said, we have trails around, but really, is that access? Is that easy enough for people to go out and recreate? Second objective, now each of these objectives have 4 or 5 goals. But we didn't want to muddy up the slide too much, so I left that part out. Second objective that we have is to pursue actionable planning and funding solutions to develop the Burns Valley Recreation Center and Westside Aquatic Center as signature community recreation assets. That is how this group formed, by wanting and needing a pool and a rec center. Through the years, we've kind of strayed from that, but it's since we came up with our objectives. This was approved by the board just less than 6 months ago. Fairly recently, as far as the whole time frame of that JPA has been here. And our third objective is to build organizational capacity and sustainability. Sounds the most boring of the 3 objectives, but I would argue that it's probably one of the most crucial. Like Supervisor Sabatier was saying before me, what they have with PEG TV, besides just a consistent revenue stream, is they have staff. And that's one thing that Lake Rec does not have. It's just the board, staff at the city and county level, but not a dedicated staff person to the JPA, which would further our objectives much faster. Those priority projects is the Burns Valley Recreation Center down in Clear Lake, Westside Aquatic Center here in Lakeport, which is great, but it is, they're far from each other. You could get to it from the Clear Lake Oaks down to Clear Lake, Kelseyville up to Lakeport, vice versa. And what we talked about was having a little bit more kind of in between. And that would be Mount Konocti Trail System. We're working with a trail building with Konocti Regional Trail.
Trail Alliance.
Yes.
Surveying groundwork.
Which Don is also a board member on. Don, you are on an awful lot of boards. And then also regional programming and events. And what we talked about is there's a lot of parks, there's a lot of trails. But like I said earlier, you can have those parks, you can have those trails, but unless you have some way to activate it, to have some programming that takes place at those facilities, you just rely on the community to go and enjoy it on their own. What we've done for regional advancements at the county level, like I kind of alluded to at the start, recreation coordinator. They have camps, park improvements. That recreation coordinator, a staff person dedicated to recreation, really makes all the difference. Same with the city of Clear Lake. They have programming expansion. They have a dedicated recreation coordinator and working through the sports complex design. And the city of Lakeport, we have the Trail Park Partnership with the Westside Community Park for the equestrian trail, hopefully, as well as facility management with the Arts Council, trying to activate some of our spaces. Definite gaps and needs. We have no dedicated funding source, limited staffing capacity, and we really need a regional coordination support. Like I said in the beginning, 87 through the poll that we did, 87% of residents in Lake County that were polled say that we need more recreation opportunities and more recreation funding. There's a definite value of recreation investment. It supports, improves community health, supports youth development, boosts tourism and economy, and enhances quality of life. I think those kind of go without saying what a benefit that improving recreation in Lake County can do for us. So what are our next steps? This presentation was actually a huge step. We've heard from every jurisdiction that what is that JPA? What does Lake Rec actually do? And this is our first stop on my tour of what are we doing. We want to advance the aquatic and recreation centers. Those are our keystone projects that might be a little ways off due to funding limitations, but we are not losing sight of those two. Develop regional trail networks. Those seem a little more attainable. You can build a multi-million-dollar sports facility, or you can go out and cut some trails. It's still a big investment and still a difficult task, but that trail network is a lower barrier to entry, I believe. And then position for grant funding opportunities. This all kind of relates back to funding, at least on some level. And without any funding, we can't move a whole lot further. The key message, I've been rambling a lot tonight, but the key message is for all three jurisdictions with budget season coming up to consider Lake Rec and upcoming budgets. We don't have a specific ask at this time. I think it's been long enough of this JPA to not update the boards that really we want to get in front of all three. We want to give you an update and keep us in mind when it comes to your upcoming budgets, and just remind everyone that a modest investment can really accelerate regional progress. Like we've seen with PEG TV, you have a little bit of money coming in, funds their reserves, they're able to put out a lot of product for the small amount that they're given. And that is it for my presentation. I would definitely welcome any questions or comments. The other goal of this is to take the feedback from the three jurisdictions to the board and see what we can do to make Lake Rec work for you. So looks like a question.
More of a comment.
Yeah.
I think your presentation was spot on, very clean to the point, and it kind of gets your wheels turning. You know, people get excited about those type of things. So, yeah, way to go, Lake Rec. I think it's going to be a great way to get some light on it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That was such a good presentation. I'm so happy that that this group is still moving forward, for one, and two, that you haven't lost sight of how it started and why it started. But there's already great progress, and keep your eye on the prize. I know we'll get that pool at some point.
Yeah, that's the goal. I have some support here from other board members. Was there anything that I need to add or want to add in?
I think we're slowly moving forward, and if we keep moving forward, we'll get there. You know, this Birds Valley Sports Complex is a huge project, and it's over 30 acres and stuff. But it's badly needed. We have soccer tournaments that now go to Middletown, so no, we need them and also you added economic development in it, and that's all part of it, of this rec agency to help stimulate the economy through recreation.
Yeah, great points, Dirk. Thank you.
I just wanted to note, in addition to the board members that you named, there are some other movers in that group. You know, you mentioned Lars Ewing. We've got City Manager Ingram, City Manager Flora, and Melissa that consistently supports from the city of Clear Lake. I think that's huge. And just for the time that I've been there, a little over a year now, I think, on the board, it was interesting to watch the progression because, as you mentioned, it started with a vision for the rec center and the pool, and then the realities of cost, and then the working out of what is it we're actually going for, and trying to identify sort of that broader perspective that holds within it those key projects of the pool and the rec center, and then through that process, it seemed like that board was able to identify other things that would fit that overall goal. And like you pointed out, were more accessible. So it's been pretty exciting to watch the development of thought and to see it come together nicely organized, because now it gives a target to go after very well, you know, take some very concrete steps. So well done. Thank you for that presentation, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you. And I think one thing that I just want to leave everybody with and kind of highlight is that just the discussion happening at this agency is really what is bringing about the increase in summer camps that we've seen around the county, the race to the top of Mount Canocti, which was a huge success. And that has all happened just from this board talking about recreation. I can only imagine what we could accomplish with some funding. So I think I'll go take my other seat. We can hear from the public. And thank you, everyone,
Yeah,
for
thanks. That was
listening
great.
to me. All right, great presentation, Brandon. Would any, like some of our other proclamations or presentations, would anybody in the public like to come up and give some input or speak on the presentation? Anybody online, Victor?
I'm seeing no hands raised online.
Okay, great. I always like to make sure there's that opportunity. Well, thank you. Next up on our agenda is council business. City manager, a periodic traffic safety update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. As you're aware, we try to kind of twice a year provide a general update in regards, thank you, a general update in regards to traffic safety related complaints that we've received and kind of different actions we're taking. So this evening, it's intended to kind of provide just a general update on traffic safety efforts occurring through the community, while also entering into kind of a little bit of a broader policy discussion about how the city approaches transportation safety moving forward. I also have many members of our staff are consistently involved in doing the routine look at some of the complaints that we receive, kind of recognizing patterns. Kelly, Ron, and then PD as well. They're also able here this evening to kind of interject in regards to some of these items and trends that we're seeing. As council's aware, traffic safety concerns are among the most consistent types of complaints and inquiries we receive from the community. Those concerns can range from speeding at intersections or intersection visibility, vegetation overgrowth, as well as, trying to address issues in sidewalk gaps and pedestrian safety, ADA accessibility, and the like. In a small community like Lakeport, many of these issues are highly visible because our roadways serve multiple functions at once. They're transportation corridors, school routes, downtown business areas, and neighborhood streets all at the same time. One of the important things staff wants to emphasize this evening is that traffic safety is rarely solved through a single project or enforcement action. So what you see kind of highlighted in there are the received complaints that we got just over the past 6 months. Some of those are similar to ones that we've received in the past. Some are new. We try and kind of keep a larger perspective in regards to helping that assist us and guide using our limited resources to address some of those things. And as you see in the report, we have got some good projects completed and also making some headway on some other projects moving forward. So this report is intended to highlight that the city has continued to make that progress, and then also to solicit your feedback, the public's feedback, and making sure that we're putting those limited resources to good use in regards to projects moving forward. In addition, we felt that it was a good opportunity here to combine the kind of issue that's in there regard to the Vision Zero framework. I do want to emphasize that in many respects, this action is more of a formalization of practices that the city's already putting into use. It's just we haven't used the fancy word that the state and others are starting to use in regards to this to the Vision Zero aspect, which kind of principally kind of solidifies around the idea of reducing fatalities by 50% by the year 2035. So I feel like we've already been doing a lot of these pieces, kind of looking at some of our most vulnerable and biggest areas where we have these emphasis. We've done a lot of work in regards to installing the pedestrian lighted enhancement features, the RFB beacons. Also, this evening, we're kind of taking on looking at some potential solutions to explore in regards to our highest accident area there at Forbes and 11th. So interested to hear council and the public's interpretation on that one. There's the Vision Zero framework is somewhat connected with the upcoming adoption of our local roads plan through Lake APC. I think it will benefit us in regards to being more competitive in upcoming transportation-related funding. And I think Ron can probably elaborate a little bit more in regards to how that working fits into some of the other work that we are doing. But I also want to emphasize once again that this is something that we're kind of already been on the path towards, kind of trying to look at our area and figure out where those spots are that we can kind of help pedestrian safety and utilize the roads for being more than just a place for vehicles getting from point A to point B. It's not a regulatory mandate at this point. I think it's possible that it will be in the future. So I don't think that this is, but I do also think that, in regards to pandering to the way that the grant system works, I think it is a really good method and a good opportunity for Lakeport to pursue. And as I noted, it's really not a fundamental change from some of the activities that we're already doing. For a small rural city like Lakeport, this is especially important because we simply do not have the resources to address. As we looked at our goals session last week and looked at the capital improvement plan list, it's easy to note that the needs there far outstrip our revenue. So, playing the grant game and looking for different funding opportunities, it's very important that we make sure that we're positioned well for that. The state has been investing a lot of money into its active transportation planning program. And I think our recent completion of our local active transportation plan both identify some really big transportation related projects, but also highlight some really small ones. And I think we've been effective in hitting both of those and finding those opportunities, whether it's as small as kind of figuring out that there's a sidewalk gap somewhere that if we fill, we have a much larger pedestrian, corridor in there. We did that in regards to the Main Street repaving project. We were able to fill a gap and get a huge, continuous line of sidewalk in there. To larger projects like the Hartley Safe Routes to School plan, we're partnering with the county and Blue Zones, the school district, and some of the local tribes, and looking at putting together an active transportation planning grant in the near future to kind of further complete that sidewalk connectivity and other pedestrian features in the school. At the same time, you're aware that we just partnered with Blue Zones in regards to a smaller project, but an important project at the intersection of Geiselman and Lang, a very highly used one by the school. As soon as school is out in June, we're going to be making some improvements to the access points, ADA access ramps at that critical intersection highly used by our school system as well. So with that, I've certainly, I know Kelly, Ron, and the lieutenant have certainly been involved in our review and discussions in regards to these actions, but I think the critical piece too is just getting your guys' feedback, the public's feedback, and then I'll kind of let Ron kind of dip a little bit more into how the pilot program that we have for 11th and Forbes kind of fits into. I think that it would be a next likely step in kind of improving overall pedestrian safety in the city of Lakeport. So with that, I don't know, Ron, if you want to jump in, or Lieutenant, if there's anything to kind of highlight in regards to traffic safety enforcement.
Sure, I can go ahead. There's a lot packed into this staff report. I think Kevin covered the Vision Zero pretty well. There is no great requirement for us to have a formal resolution on this. It's definitely looking forward, and I think that in the past few years, we've absolutely captured the spirit of Vision Zero in some of our planning and engineering. And honestly, we were doing some of this stuff before I realized this was turning into something that we needed to take a closer look at. We are in the middle of the local road safety plan for the city of Lakeport, the county of Lake, and the city of Clear Lake. We're all working on them at the same time. And it was recommended to us by the consultant that we bring this to a public meeting and discuss Vision Zero. There was no direction for us to again adopt a formal resolution, but we just thought bringing it formally and opening it up to the public would be the right way to address that. So that's what we're doing with Vision Zero. With the pilot program at 11th and Forbes, it most definitely falls into the essence of Vision Zero. It is our highest intersection where incidents are of vehicle accidents, pedestrian involved, vehicle involved. We recently had a serious injury with a scooter, one of those new battery operated scooters that happened at that intersection. And so since I have come into this position, I've heard several times how the challenges that we would face on putting a four-way stop at 11th and Forbes. And I kind of took them at face value, but as things have become apparent to me that we need to look deeper at this area, I've talked to a lot of people out there and I kind of get mixed reviews. It seems like I hear more people requesting a four-way stop at 11th and Forbes than I hear being opposed to it. But I thought that there was enough. I mean, I get phone calls, people approach me unsolicited. I thought there was enough discussion going on in the public that it warranted bringing it here. We've had engineers reevaluate that. That intersection currently operates at a level of service that's an A, meaning there's no great delays there. And so there's concern that vehicles could queue east from 11th and Forbes back onto Main Street. And I anticipate that will in fact happen for short periods of time during the pilot program if council chooses to move forward with that we will see some queuing for a brief period of time back onto Main Street. But I think that we have the facilities to let that happen and to let it resolve without a lot of big issues. And if like the goal of Vision Zero is to measurably reduce accidents and injuries, that is the intersection to start at. I don't think anyone would would argue that. And so I'm anxious to hear feedback from council as well as the community on, you know, if there's any other ideas or maybe concerns that we haven't thought of, but we definitely have spent a lot of time and energy. There's about 6,000 trips a day through that intersection on average. I mean, that can swing wildly depending on what time of year it is or what's going on, if there's a special event or other things. But on average, it's about 6,000 trips a day through that intersection. So we've looked at it and the speeds, and we've recently added the edge lines, which I've gone out and looked at it. It seems to have some impact adding the edge lines on there. And we are working with the consultant that's doing the local road safety plan. The scope of the consultant is increased this year through Lake APC to include, they will assist us, and we've been working closely with them to submit application into the HSIP program, the Highway Safety Improvement Program. And we're looking at that corridor, the 11th Street corridor, if the pilot program were overwhelmingly accepted, we could look at putting in the permanent features. The pilot program would be a temporary stop signs, temporary lines that could easily be removed if it doesn't work out. And so if it did work out, part of the grant could be to install the permanent features there, do some restriping, some enhanced pavement markings on the RRFB that we've recently installed in 11th and High. Additionally, kind of the crash data that supports a successful grant application could be applied onto the 10th Street corridor that could help us on the projects that we've talked about there for a long time. We have in progress the funding and some of the materials to underground the culvert at 10th and Tunis. And so this HSIP program could fund the sidewalk on top of that culvert that we put in, as well as the other gap that we're missing on the south side of 10th up by Main Street there at Renee's, and then also install a quasi mid-block crossing there at 10th and Main with an RRFB and perhaps a pedestrian safety island there as well. I don't know, there's a couple of things to look at there, but that's what we're moving forward with.
Yeah, I would add one of the challenges that our group at the staff level has faced is, we do receive a lot of these complaints, and then we try and, take a look at those and then also analyze that against the actual, data that we receive in the crash volume. And so a lot of the areas that we receive complaints, they don't have a statistical, crash volume rating. That is not the case with 11th and Forbes. I mean, that is consistently in a, so we've kind of looked at that. We did the 11th Street corridor study a few years back. It had, we've been able to implement, as Ron stated, a number of different things, kind of focusing on making 10th Street kind of the pedestrian path safe for bikes and pedestrian use, and getting some of those pieces in order. The big kind of recommendation out of that plan for Forbes and 11th is a kind of small roundabout or a turning circle there. That's obviously a very costly solution. And whereas this pilot project seems like it lends itself, it's very low cost, installing, temporary stop signs in there. It's something that if it doesn't work, it can easily be removed and we can go back to that. And if it doesn't work, it still is great data for us in future, transportation related grants where we can say, hey, we've tried kind of lesser, costly sort of things and it's not working. Or we could find that it really does work and it's a very low cost, solution there that can make that intersection area safer. And as noted, put another link in the chain in regards to our adherence to the kind of overarching framework of the Vision Zero plan. We know obviously that there's gonna have to be a lot of communication on there, both directly out at the site, either through the placement of some signs about change conditions ahead, some communications just broadly to the community. And we all become creatures of habit, and we'll there's never been a stop sign there for, 30 plus years. So I mean, there's going to be some of those aspects to it. I'm in a full agreement with Ron in regards to there is likely to be some queuing issues out onto Main Street, but I think the 30-day time frame does allow for, there are lots of good alternative routes in that area, and I think people are going to learn, that you can, easily utilize, some of the other local roadways to avoid that area at the highest peak time. Maybe we'll be wrong. Maybe, I mean, it will cause some other issues. And like I said, it's easy to kind of remove this and go back to, kind of where we're at right now. So I think that's, in a nutshell, I think where this project lends itself as a really good kind of test point without a lot of city revenue or, financing having to go into a project, as opposed to that roundabout, which I think last time we, $1 million or so. Go ahead, Kelly.
Just for the record, I just wanted to state that there's nothing wrong in the design of the intersection now. The complaints we receive, the crash data and whatnot, the things that have happened there are largely due to a failure to yield. People just don't stop at the stop sign despite efforts on enforcement. So it isn't anything that is necessarily wrong with the intersection and how it's designed. So these improvements are just intended to make it better, maybe make people more aware. I don't know, hopefully get them to comply with the stop signs that are there.
No, that's a very important piece. And I don't have Mackenzie here to kick me to make sure. So I thank you. Thank you, Kelly. I'm sure Mackenzie's squirming in there. Yeah, we don't want to, we do this traffic update in regards and trying to find better ways of, enhancing our roadways. But I mean, it's not to say in any effort that 11th and Forbes is dangerous. I mean, I think there are improvements that can be made to make it safer, but it does operate at a level. And I mean, that's, I hate to say it this way, but it's a blessing and a curse, right? I mean, we don't qualify for a lot of state and federal funding dollars because our roadways are safe compared to other jurisdictions, things like that. So I mean, I think that these are unfortunately, it seems a bit morbid, but a lot of people, what has to happen? Somebody's got to die at that intersection. Sometimes in order to get that full funding, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why we have seen a lot of funding poured into the Highway 29 corridor in there, is that's considered one of this, I think, the least safe east-west travel area in Northern California specifically, and that's why we have seen a lot of resources into pushing forward with that expressway program. Luckily, that's not the case with our local road system. We have a very safe, but I think that when we look at the accident data, this lends itself as a place to potentially do some enhancements that I think can go a long way.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything to add from the PD perspective?
Yeah, I do agree with what was said. I mean, sometimes change can be good and bad, but we don't know until we try. I know we have officers out doing education, traffic stops. We don't have a dedicated traffic unit by itself. And I'm sure the council is probably well aware that we are a little short in numbers in our staffing. So in between calls, we do have officers out there patrolling, contacting the public and making enforcement stops, which can lead to just the education of traffic laws, because not everyone could be familiar with the laws themselves. We also have a speed trailer and a message board that we also do deploy during larger events. We can post the speed to, another visual deterrent, keep people's speed down. And we do move that around throughout the city to help certain intersections, and also, and a lot of other departments try and keep up with road maintenance and just.
Yeah, and we had a lot of complaints earlier in the year in regards to, particularly the bus routes and going in. And so, I mean, we were very proactive, had officers escorting with the bus and primarily education-based, people failing to yield on the stop signs there. And, I do hear complaints that, oh, well, we're not out there doing a lot of traffic enforcement. Well, yes and no. I would, we have had some more aggressive stance in regards to, mostly educating. We try to issue tickets as a last resort, but a failure to yield of when pedestrians are crossing has been one that the police department has been very proactive in that space, despite short staffing.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll bring it to the council for questions of staff.
Yeah, I think that a very, very large percentage of accidents occur when they can't see where they're going and they have to pull out too far. They didn't see someone in their blind spot, and it's foggy. And I have a really hard time understanding why this is called zero vision when it should be like maximum vision for safer driving. I mean, I was reading it going, what is this? It makes no sense to me from my little cubicle of the world, but I think vision is the most important thing. I mean, if they're talking about a vision of zero traffic deaths, which was never going to happen, I know I've heard it from Caltrans and APC, it's never going to happen for the reason that Kelly just said. People fail to yield, they fail to yield to pedestrians. I just wondered where they came up with that ridiculous name.
Sweden.
Okay. That's all I needed to know.
The term Vision Zero started in the 90s in Sweden when
I knew you would know.
when they began to look at new design standards for their roads and pedestrian facilities. And I mean, you summed it up, that it's not line of sight vision is not what it's referring to. It is perhaps the overly optimistic vision of zero fatalities and serious injuries.
Thank you.
We asked the same question.
Great minds.
Other questions on this item? I've got one on the stop sign on 11th and Forbes. And it's kind of a broad question, but if we are to implement this, what is our measurement of success? I'm assuming there are accidents at that intersection, not every day, not every month, but there are accidents. And if we're doing a 30-day trial, what will measure if this was successful or not? Is it just try it out and see, or is there a specific thing that we're looking for?
I think a couple of the main things I would like to see is, I mean, as we all know, that travel 11th Street, from Highway 29 to the east, the speeds get going pretty fast, and that street narrows up right around Pool. And we put in the RRFB at 11th and High, thinking that if that was blinking sometimes, and then we can get the enhanced pavement markings for the crosswalk there, adding the edge lines, all of this would help bring the speeds down, particularly on that narrow portion of 11th. That would be one great outcome to see. That the speeds on that narrow portion, in fact, have gone down. And then the second, because if the speeds come down, the accidents are going to come down, and even the accidents that do occur would be less severe if the speeds are down. And then, frankly, the second outcome would just to be able to see if the facilities can maintain the queuing and the stopping and the people that will figure out an alternate route and create a new problem, maybe that we're not anticipating. And so those are really, I think, the two big things that we'll be watching in that 30-day trial.
I just would back that up. I mean, we've been told, a number of times we've looked at this in the past that that the queuing would be an issue, especially in regards to there only being one block there between Forbes and then the next stop sign at Main and 11th. So if that doesn't materialize, and like Ron said, and we see a reduction in speed, I think that would be where we would be judging the success.
I think there's enough room there to typically hold about 10 vehicles queue between Forbes and Main.
I'm really glad that the reduction in speed is a goal. I frequently will be up and down Main Street going for a run with my family, and eastbound on 11th Street, people turning right onto Main Street hardly ever stop, and they're coming quick. And when you're running, they sneak up on you. So I like that adding a stop sign at that intersection will force people to slow down a little bit sooner and approach Main Street at a more reasonable speed.
I have a question as to, first of all, I like the idea of trying something and being able to, it's important to say, what are we trying to measure? So that's good, but temporary is, that's nice, gather data of some sort. So were there other kinds of interventions considered that could be experimented with? For example, and I think there's probably a zillion reasons why speed bumps couldn't work there. I don't know what those are exactly, but were there other interventions that might reach the goal of lower speeds equaling more safety considered in addition to the four-way stop?
I think, yeah, we've looked at several other options there. City Manager Ingram brought up the mini roundabout. The speed bumps get mixed reviews from the traffic engineer experts on what they do. They certainly create more noise and acceleration. It really, when we talked about speed bumps, speed humps, kind of alternatives for that. Frankly, it wasn't the number one pick of the engineers in the room, the traffic engineers in the room. So
Why was that? Did they give you reasons why they didn't think it worked so well?
well,
They're the engineer.
you wind up with a lot of people that ignore those. They hit them and they're going too fast. They can cause increased potential hazards. That
Emergency personnel hate them.
emergency personnel hate them, and they don't stop all the way. So then they slow down and they take off again, and without really looking. And so I don't know. I mean, I would be willing to try a number of things there for our first shot. I think we landed on the pilot program of the four-way stop, but we have certainly discussed a number of things about that intersection. So if this works beautifully and we want to move forward, that's fine. If this doesn't work as we hope and we want to explore something else, I mean, we're definitely up for looking at a number of different things and trying different things to see.
And I don't think it'll necessarily be one particular option. I mean, we did put the edge striping on there, and we have seen some notice impact there. I mean, it hasn't been the end all be all, and we weren't really expecting it to, but it has noticeably kind of helped, and we think it has helped pedestrian safety in there. The safe crossing lighting, the RFB lights that we've tested those in a couple different areas and found them to be useful. They're not perfect as well. I mean, we still have, issues with people ignoring those. So I think it's, just trying to try a few of those. And then there are, large capital improvement project pieces, and some of them we would like to see, but, they're obviously, the funding piece becomes a large impediment doing something quickly.
Mr. Mayor?
Mhm.
Good. Let's see. Question on the four-way stop. Would it have a striped crosswalk? And would it be lighted stop signs?
So initially for the pilot program, there would be no additional crosswalk. We would put in a temporary stop bar there. I am working with the consultants on the LRSP on that project, that if we were going to install permanent facilities there, about what a crosswalk would look like on the east side of that intersection, on the eastbound side, because there's already kind of a good ADA access there. I mean, we could do some upgrades, but it would be the easiest to put on the east side. We're looking at different things. Should we
For the
decide
future.
that permanent facilities are
Okay.
a fit there? As far as the blinking stop signs, we put those in in an effort to help people realize that, hey, this is an intersection and you need to stop. But we're also sensitive to the fact that people live right there and those things are bright.
Yeah.
And, some people may not like those flashing all night long into their window when they're trying to come home and relax. And so, it's a delicate balance and kind of a semi-residential area there to
Got it.
make that work.
Thanks.
Is that, does that
Oh,
conclude?
one other thing I wanted to say about the blinking, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. We're
One
all.
other thing I wanted to say about the blinking stop signs. So when we did install those, at the existing stop signs, we set the timers so that they only were flashing during the day as not to disturb the houses, because when we looked at the data, and I think it has something to do with what Councilmember Parlett was talking about, the vision. So there were less collisions in the dark at that intersection because people see the headlights more. I think they tend to be in a little bit more of a hurry and not looking as closely in the daytime, but they could see the headlights coming at night. And so we saw less accidents. And so when we set the timers on those flashing stop signs that are there now, we just had them going in the daylight hours as to not to offend the people that live there.
Cool.
Awesome.
Councilmember Price?
Just my 2 cents. I like the idea of the pilot program and of trying out the stop signs. I think anything to get some change or, get some data collected is going to be a good idea. I also, do we plan on putting out the speed sign during that time to let people know, like maybe around Safeway, like, hey, slow down a little bit. There's kind of a change ahead, or I don't know what the wording would be necessarily. But I think people that, they like lots of signs and warnings before change. It might help them.
Throwing the independent variable right there.
Yeah.
Not only have we talked to Chief Stobie and Lieutenant Cooley about borrowing their feedback trailer, I mean, we would intend to rent electronic message boards for,
Oh, cool.
for multiple locations to warn people and have a really strong public outreach with that. And along with the public outreach, we would like to encourage people to provide the feedback on
Right.
on what they think about the addition of that, so that council would have as much information as necessary to.
I think that's a good way to get their attention, just kind of put it out there and they'll say, what is going on? Right. And they'll want to come out and see and talk about it. Hopefully we'll get some input that way. My only other thing, I like the continued effort on 10th Street with the culverts and the sidewalks and piecing that together to get pedestrians off of 11th ideally, I think is a great goal to have. And then also just to highlight and follow up on the constituents' comment about the amount of people that are going to be on Martin and the hill, the accessibility, the inclusivity. And I know that we personally have talked about the pedestrian path, looking into the connection from the fairgrounds over to Larracue, where it pops out at the senior center. I just want to be the squeaky wheel on that. We'll get together maybe and put that on our list, and we could possibly explore that further. I think that's something I would like to get ahead of before it gets really populated in that area.
Well, I agree. I would love to see that project done to make the north-south connection between Martin and Lakeport Boulevard. We have some great improvements coming on Lakeport Boulevard that even makes that connection make more sense. And I'm really hoping that we can develop some partnerships there with some of the future development to assist us in making that happen.
Absolutely.
I'd also add too, I mean, in addition to 10th Street, and I think we'll agree in regards to the better connectivity between Lakeport Boulevard and Martin too. We've looked at doing similar kind of decoupling efforts of trying to strengthen pedestrian access along Armstrong in regards to, Martin, which not quite the same as 11th, but some of the same features there. And Armstrong's a really wide road, has a bit more right-of-way ability than Martin does. So I mean, those are some of the things that we've been looking into as well. And I think that those are competitive, active transportation related projects as well.
For sure. And also just the connectivity from Martin Street to Lakeport Boulevard, getting people to goods and services, even if not everybody is going to be wanting to drive their cars. We're going to have people that are we'll have a big influx of pedestrian activity in that area, especially with Smith Street going in, the extra phase of Martin Street. Yeah, it'll be a lot going on. So I know that we're all bringing it up now to talk about. So, those are good points to bring up.
I think it was just last month that City Manager Ingram and I were out after work tromping through the blackberries out there trying to see
Oh, no.
I mean, we were looking for ideas and trying to really get a strong plan formulated on what that connection would look like. And so I mean, I think all the people everyone in the room sees the importance of making that connection, but we really do need the partnerships of future development there, I believe, to help make that happen with the funding needs.
For sure. Thank you, Ron.
Any other questions from council before we open it up? Okay, now is the time for public input on this item. Anybody can come up and speak for a couple minutes. Have a question, give your input, Supervisor.
Yeah, thank you, Brad Rasmussen, District 4 Supervisor. I'm also, is this on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Also a member of the Lake Area Planning Council, so I hope to be involved in the future on some of the more long-term large projects that will help make the areas better, such as 11th Street. But I just want to strongly support the city in moving forward with this pilot project with a stop sign there at 11th and Forbes. I've got almost 4 decades of knowledge of accidents at that location.
Received complaints about that?
In fact, many hundreds of complaints, hundreds, if not better than 1,000 accidents there. And most of them are all right-of-way violations, stop sign violations, drunk drivers following too close, speeding. I do believe that the addition of that stop sign will slow the speeds down on 11th Street. People are driving way too fast on that street. I won't walk that street. I avoid that intersection at all costs and go around because I just don't want to deal with the people that aren't paying attention. I know your admin director mentioned it, and I don't think that over the years that roadway, I had never recall an accident where we made any findings that it was a poor roadway design or anything like that. Everything I recall is a lot of those violations that I mentioned there. But forcing people to slow down, I think is going to be a good thing. Let's see how it works. I don't know that that's the best permanent plan down the road. I do think a roundabout would be the ideal location there, but I think we're looking at probably $5 million for something like that. So that's going to take time. But in the meantime, if we can slow people down and get people to pay attention better, I think this would be a good option. So thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Anybody else want to come up and speak on this?
Yes, what if we did a one-way from like Maine going towards Safeway? And have the one way be going that way, and then that one cut road that goes over to High Street, people can come around that way to go toward Main Street and back around toward Main Street. I don't know. I mean, that might be cheaper than, and we put a light like right there that stops people, from continuing through until the traffic is moved, on that cut street over that way. I don't know, just an idea that, but I think the reason that there might be issues at that stop is when you're coming on, I'm not sure, Forbes. From, Forbes going toward Safeway from the right, and you're coming off of 11th, going onto Forbes, you know, toward Main Street. It's really tight, really sharp corner right there. And during certain parts of the day, the sun hits you right in the eye, and it is a visibility issue. But it's really hard. I find myself sometimes if I'm in my bigger vehicle, it's almost getting over into the other lane because it's so tight right there at the corner. So I don't know, that could be an issue that people might find, But yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there was one other thing that I thought of, and again, it goes with council members Parlett's vision statement. Council and previous public works staff spent a lot of time working with PG&E on Rule 20A, and we stayed in the game. Rule 20A is the undergrounding of overhead utilities. And the city of Lakeport stayed in the game for a long time, and the pot kept growing as other jurisdictions fell out, didn't meet deadlines. The pool that was available to Lakeport slowly grew and grew as I was in this position, and we kept meeting our deadlines and meeting our design reviews and answering all their questions. And so we have now a little bit over $3 million in PG&E credits approved. The project is presented and approved to underground utilities on that south side of 11th Street between Main and basically a little bit past Pool. But I think another big issue there is not only the people failing to yield and the speeds coming down, it is the site. And part of that problem is the utilities that are now overhead. We are in the queue with PG&E to get that work done. I believe in 2030 is their estimated time of getting that done. But it's a big kudos to, I mean, a lot of people have come and gone with the city that worked on Rule 20A, and to see that kept alive when so many other jurisdictions fell out, it's a good job.
They tried to take our money a couple times.
They did. Not for every nickel, but it's there. And I do think that'll be another important piece that'll help reduce the accidents there.
In regards to the question on the one-way, I mean, when we did the 11th Street corridor study, we looked at a number of those different pieces, and kind of some one-way aspects were looked at. It's not to say that they can't happen. It's just that I think the concern there was that in fixing some of the problems that we're talking about, they had the tendency that they might create some additional issues. And then there was also some, to do it appropriately, there was also going to be some kind of probably right-of-way acquisition. That's one of the big challenges with this section, specifically there on 11th Street between Pool and Main, is the roadway does narrow quite a bit from where it's at when you get up closer to Safeway, and some that are, kind of widens out, and you have a lot more kind of recovery space and things for and better, opportunity to avoid, pedestrian and, motorists coming too close together. So it is something that can be looked at, but it was one of those things that was kind of put as a kind of a lesser option in regards to that there was some concern that it was going to create some additional problems in its attempt to fix some of those. But it's there. I mean, it's something that comes up frequently in regards to developing a one-way kind of decoupling network somewhere in there. But it's tough. There's not an easy solution there.
Okay, we are still in public input. Anybody else in the room want to come up and speak on this? Victor, what about online?
I'm seeing no hands raised.
Okay, then we'll bring it back to the council for final thoughts, further discussion.
Yeah, I wanted to go back. Probably the only person here that's still alive is Wilda. There was and myself. There was not a stop sign at 3rd and Main. And I went through it the first couple times. Thank God Chief wasn't working back. I don't know that he was born then. But anyway, there was not a stop sign at 3rd and Main. And there is now, and it works out very well. I remember I was blown away when the Chamber of Commerce building up there on Vista Point, they did a video of the junk food junction, whatever you guys call it, the the hill up there with all those the roundabout up there. Before that was in, it was unbelievably complicated, and then they characteristically filmed it while there was a bunch of coherent, normal people that knew how to use a roundabout, and it was absolutely incredibly poetic, and it was just the most perfect solution. We see people always having a problem with them. I go through the roundabout at 20 and Rodman Slough, and you talked about queuing. There's these idiots that think they can cut in on Stokes and fly in to Rodman Slough. And I've been watching this and doing this for years. And I beat 95% of them because I go through the roundabout beautifully. It's so elegant. I get right on through it. And then they get cars coming the other way and they have to wait and they're way behind me. Except they passed me going 90 on the freeway, but that doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make is when you do these things originally, people flip out. And when you see, and then at 29 and 53, the deaths were down there, the highly complicated, multi-million dollar elaborate roundabout scheme down there. I don't know that there's ever been another death since they did that. And a lot of people didn't like it. Matter of fact, I went halfway to Williams before I realized I had to get in the other lane so I could get back to Lucerne. So you have to pay attention. But the point I'm making is sometimes subtle changes need to be tried out in a new time, in a new era. And I know I've heard talk about making, North Main Street go one way and then Forbes go the other. These are down the line, but I think this is an excellent opportunity to try something out. And my point of all this is some of these things seem like a bad idea. The stop sign, and then the roundabout. Oh my God, where did they come up with that? Well, they've been using traffic circles in Europe forever and they work fantastically when you don't have that idiot that goes the wrong way or doesn't understand it or stops and backs up traffic. But if you remember at Century, when people were trying to stop there, matter of fact, I think the sheriff has the record for the most accidents by trying to use their sirens instead of, waiting their turn. They had 3 different accidents at that. Since the roundabout, they break the signs all the time. I will admit there's usually one a month that they knock down. But I don't know there's been any fatalities since that happened. So I appreciate that people look at this with an open mind and maybe in the short term, I don't want to stop there. And the queuing, just like on Stokes, could create some problems. But looking at it this way, I think is a brilliant way to do it. It's not very expensive. And if it works out, then we can look further. And I love what you did with the flashing stop signs because that is a big deal to some people at night, so thank you for doing that. But I fully support the idea of doing a trial project and then we'll take the slings and arrows and then we'll mitigate those. But I do want to say these projects are not written by Ron and Kevin alone. They're written by traffic engineers who have seen thousands of things. I would have never conceived of that roundabout at 53 and 20, but it is genius. So that's my comment.
Thoughts?
Well, I agree that it's all good and I support that. And I just wanted to, I think I kind of annoyed Kevin and Ron earlier because I was looking for clarification because sometimes for me it's like, now I got it, now I'm clear on the thing. But I can see here on page 38, and I'm just going to read this one little paragraph because I'm thinking that this is kind of what we're talking about when we say we wish we had a better name, but zero vision or whatever, vision zero. The city of Lakeport is committed to a future where no one loses their life or suffers serious injury on our roadways. The city hereby adopts a vision zero goal to eliminate traffic fatalities and serious injuries with an interim goal of reducing such incidents by 50% by the year 2035. The city will continue to utilize a data-driven approach to identify high-risk locations, prioritize safety improvements, and track progress over time. And I'm thinking that kind of capsulizes the heart of what we're talking about when we say, let's adapt this, let's officially adopt this way of looking at things. And then you take that and you apply it to the grant opportunities, et cetera, and you align it with the larger actions at the state and perhaps even federal level that help support this. So I think that's a very smart thing to do, and it gives a goal that everybody can keep being reminded of. So I like the idea of trying something and seeing how it goes. And then on that different note, I know everybody, when they're talking about that walking from a different way to get from Martin to Larrique, everybody's on board with that. Everybody sees the need. I just wanted to highlight, as Councilmember Price kind of alluded to, there's not just growing population there. There's population of maybe vulnerable people, people who may be walking, who, there's people are going to need to do something besides get in a car and drive to wherever they're going to be at any point in time. We've got low income housing, we've got justice involved housing, we've got senior low income housing. So it's a pretty important, and it keeps getting built. So, keeps getting built up over there. So I think it's a really good one to keep our eye on and try to see how we can get some funding to help make something happen that keeps people safe.
And I would just add in, with the 11th Street stop sign potential, that I like the idea of a trial run, 30 days. It seems like there's very little harm in doing it, and only, stuff to gain. Especially, I love, Ron, how you added in the renting the message boards. I know we have the one speed and message board. But we would need it going both directions, and like you said, maybe multiple spots throughout the city. So I love the idea of giving it a trial run. The meeting after this is implemented, I think we might have a packed house, but for now, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to add one more thing, Kenny, before you.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Well, I don't know if I'm excited, but I'm anxious to see how it goes. I'm disappointed that we didn't hear from the people that were sitting at the back of the room. I don't know
Yeah.
if they're a neighbor or if anybody knows, but I was very curious to hear what, I could tell they were not excited about it, but maybe we'll hear from them later and find out.
Probably.
But it's temporary right now, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add, in true scientific nature, I mentioned it, just blurted it out. But when you have an independent variable and then you affect it by putting up signs and everything, you're not getting accurate data. That is not the data that would happen when you take the signs down. So you're going to get a flawed study that would never pass scientific review. So just keep that in mind, because when you have signs saying, hey, there's a stop sign, there's a stop sign, I'm not sure that the 30-day thing would be necessarily fair when the signs are up, because that affects people. And like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, just observing people makes them do different things, like being followed by a cop. So anyway, I just want to point out that scientifically, that's not a good model, because the truth is, what would happen if the signs were up and there were no warning signs? How would it work?
Well, I'll tell you, because I have a new stop sign by my house and a new curb that's 12 inches further into the road, and everyone runs the stop sign, and for 6 months, everyone hit the curb because they just followed the normal path that they were used to, and it was right at the curb. So,
Well, what I'm saying is, yes, you do this for a month, but they never did that there. And so they were hit it, and they learned by experience. What I'm saying is, after a month, then you remove it, and then, now we're talking 60 days, and people are going to really.
but at least we'll have an idea of what the
Right.
cars.
You'll have an
backed up.
idea, but you won't
We won't
have
know about who's going to run it, but we'll know if it can handle it.
Right. Well, and we'll find out about the cues.
Yeah.
A lot of good data, because that's very important as well. Probably, maybe even more important.
Well, and it may be that the permanent solution, if it goes that direction, has some warning signs as well. Stop ahead.
No, we're not doing permanent. That's too expensive.
No. We're just going to keep playing around with stuff.
Budget.
Okay. Just going to move those signs here and there. See how it goes. Okay.
All right, there is a motion on this item if there's no more discussion.
No, it's a suggested motion. Mr. Mayor, if there's nothing further, I'd move to adopt the resolution establishing a Vision Zero framework for the city of Lakeport, receive and file the periodic safety update, and direct staff to proceed with the proposed pilot all way stop control at intersection of 11th and Forbes Street, and return with findings and recommendations.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. I look forward to seeing how that works.
I'm sure Kevin and Ron are.
It will be interesting.
Next up for our regular agenda here is just our city council communications, travel, calendar, and miscellaneous reports. Going around the room like usual. We'll start with you, Joey.
No report this evening.
Okay, Lieutenant.
Report this evening. No report.
Get better.
Danielle. Paul.
Report.
Kelly.
Nothing for me.
Okay, Ron.
Thank you, Mayor Disney. Nothing to report.
Victor.
No report on my end.
Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always.
No, one real quick one. We had a couple of really large events over the weekend, Friday and Sunday at Habotten. It performed marvelously. I think that we were very excited with the turnout on those, and I just wanted to give a really big shout out to our parks and public works crew in particular. Ron and I were both down there with Wilda as well, early on Monday morning, and you wouldn't have known. I mean, it was beautiful. The space was back in there being utilized by all the folks. So it's, then that's a huge credit to our staff, but the space is working exactly as intended. It can host the large events, community, is seeing it as a gathering space, and then it's right back to its kind of passive, beautiful area there for folks to come out and see the lake on a daily basis. And that's a huge credit to our staff as well. So just wanted to put that into the record. That's all I have to.
Go ahead, Victor. I saw it.
Yep, Mr. Mayor, Mackenzie, our city attorney, also indicated he has nothing to report on Zoom, so.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Councilmember Costa?
I just want to raise attention again to the Splash-In event that's happening from June 4th through June 7th. So that's coming right up now. It just seems like it was so far in the future, and now it's right here. And this year, again, a reminder on June 6th, it's Youth Day. So it's a lot of fun activities for kids of all ages. I just want to name Jill and Matt Rothstein, especially Jill. She's just been an incredible force in making sure that a lot of really good stuff is coming into existence, being put together. There's just some beautiful, they have a great logo. They have, good messaging, and just a lot of cool stuff is going to be there at the Skylark Shores property. And there's going to be live music and just some, it's really for kids of all ages, because there are activities it will take older youth to be able to engage in those things, and they'll enjoy those. And then there are activities that can be adapted for younger and older even to enjoy that same activity. So it's a first effort to bring the youth and the family focus to it, and I think it's going to be fun, and we hope people will come out and enjoy it. It's all free. So June 6th.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Parlett?
Yeah, I'm sorry I was late, but I'm heavily involved in Lake County Rec.
Good.
Almost every day. But I wanted to point out as a public service announcement to prepare you so you don't get sticker shock. I have a little thing on my website it's the myth that meat is expensive in relationship to things like chips and candy, which are $18 and $13 for chips and so forth. I just wanted to alert you to the fact that even though the fertilizer that went on tomatoes and red potatoes recently is still, had nothing to do with it already, tomatoes are officially they went from $20 a case to $115 a case. Right now, you're going to see tomatoes $8.99, $9.99, and Whole Foods probably $30 a pound, and red potatoes are about the same, $9 a pound. Because who knows what? I heard something about Sinaloa, Mexico, and we're like acting down there politically. I don't know. But I just wanted to warn you that when you go to buy a tomato, realize it costs more than pork and chicken by almost double. So you might want to forego the burger and just have, like fried chicken or pork chops or something.
Plant tomatoes.
Well, by the time you plant them,
Tomatoes today.
they will, the tomatoes will probably be a lot cheaper, but right now, because I think they are coming from, our tomatoes aren't even close. They're just coming out of the ground. So I just wanted to warn you, so you don't pass out in the produce aisle of your favorite market.
Councilmember Price?
Follow that.
I'm like, do I make a tomato joke? Do I just let it slide? Just a quick reminder, the B2B mixer that Dawn reminded us about at the Skylark next Monday. Try to show your face.
What time?
5:30.
5:30.
The chamber I've noticed has quite the following. Their ribbon cuttings and their publicity is really something that they hang their hats on, and I think that businesses really want that support from the chamber. So if we can show face, that would be great. I heard there's a new dress shop in town in Lakeport or by Bruno's. I haven't been over there. But there's a new business. And then there's also the ice cream shop over by Safeway, I believe is opening probably next week or next week, I think, the 9th. 10th, something over there, the 11th. But that's exciting. But other than that, LMSA will have their meeting before the Memorial Day parade. That's happening on Memorial Day. Other than that, that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Pro Tem Matina?
I also heard we're getting a new vision care doctor that's taking
cool.
VSP, but that's all I know so far.
Oh,
The park was just hopping this weekend. It was so fun to see that. Let's see, we attended, Mike McGuire did a presentation to the fire. I will let the mayor talk about that more, but the mayor did a great job going in and with the ask for the senator. So he did a great job representing us.
Nice.
And then we do have 2 Cinema by the Shore events planned for this summer. They're going to be July 2nd and July 30th.
Nice.
So more to come on those.
What's showing?
Captain America. So a Turner 50th anniversary theme for the 2nd, and then an 80s theme on the 30th with Back to the Future.
Cool.
great.
Fun stuff.
Sounds
Great
fun.
picks.
Yeah.
For my report, did you have anything? Sorry. Yeah, the event last Friday with Senator McGuire was great. The state's contributing $2.2 million towards the county fire district. The city or the Lakeport Fire Protection District is getting about $800,000 to retrofit their ladder truck, which was really exciting.
Only one in the county.
The only ladder truck in the entire county. A new one was going to cost well over $2 million, but they're gonna gut it and start over with 800,000. And then, yeah, I took the opportunity, I pulled Senator McGuire aside and asked about finding some funding, whether it's Prop 4 or some other sort for the South Main water. While we were on the topic of fire suppression, I emailed his assistant just today with Supervisor Rasmussen as well, and we're going to try to set up a joint meeting to further discuss that potential funding. So hopefully something comes about it. Seems like he's ready to invest into fire suppression in Lake County, and hoping to jump on that while we can.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Down there.
Yeah.
I think that's it for the council communications. We do have a closed session tonight, a conference with real property negotiator. Do I need to read out?
Just various.
Mackenzie? Various properties. So we are going to adjourn the regular meeting and move into closed session. We just returned from closed session and there is nothing to report. This meeting's adjourned.